Straight to business. Yuka's joining us here on the studio just a month before Donald Trump takes office. Billionaires continuing to favour with the US president-elect, shall we say?
Well, Stuart, on Monday, Masayoshi Son, the CEO of Japan's SoftBank, became the latest to make a pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Florida residence. Japan's Prime Minister has not been able to meet Trump since the election, but the tech tycoon stood shoulder to shoulder with the president-elect, announcing a big deal, a plan to invest $100 billion in the US over the next 4 years. That would create 100,000 jobs. Now, Mr. Trump loves splashy announcements like these, but he also knows these investments don't always pan out. During his first term, he announced a $10 billion investment by Taiwan's Foxconn to build a new factory and create 13,000 jobs, but that was mostly abandoned later on. For SoftBank, $100 billion is more than its total cash reserve, and Son is known for backing some major flops, including the now bankrupt WeWork and Wirecard, the company behind the biggest fraud in Germany history. Still, what matters is a show of support and overt friendship. Let's take a listen.
We were discussing, and President Trump said, Masa, double down is not enough. Maybe, go for more, right?
That's what I'm going to ask him right now. Would you make it $200 billion instead of He can actually, believe it or not, he can actually afford to do that. Would you do that?
Well, my promise is 100, but, he's now asking to do more.
And behind the scenes there, another tech CEO also met with Donald Trump on Monday.
Well, according to multiple media reports, TikTok's chief executive was at Mar-a-Lago as the social media company is trying to avert a looming ban in the United States. His visit came on the same day TikTok asked the US Supreme Court to issue a stay on a law that would force its Chinese owner ByteDance to either sell the app or shut it down next month. Trump called for a TikTok ban back in 2020 when he was president, seeing the platform a national security threat. But he has since changed his mind. At a press conference on Monday, he said he had a, quote, warm spot for TikTok.
And meanwhile, Donald Trump's tariff threats are really rattling the US's neighbours. Canada's Prime Minister has quit, in fact, over a dispute over how to respond to them. Chrystia
Freeland, who was also Deputy Prime Minister, resigned from her position suddenly, just hours before she was set to deliver a fiscal update to Parliament. In her resignation letter, she cited disagreements with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau over how to respond to the US President-elect's threat of imposing a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports. Her resignation came after Trudeau tried to demote her to a lesser position. Brian Quinn has more.
A sudden end to a long political partnership. Canadian Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland resigned Monday, just hours before she was due to deliver a fiscal update to Parliament, and just days after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tried to demote her in his cabinet. Her resignation letter citing disagreements with the Prime Minister over Donald Trump's trade threats.
The incoming administration in the United States is pursuing a policy of aggressive economic nationalism. We need to take that threat extremely seriously. That means keeping our fiscal powder dry today so we have the reserves we may need for a coming tariff war.
And we have all the cards.
Trump has threatened 25% tariffs against both Canada and Mexico in a bid to force them to stem the flow of migrants and drugs across the U.S. border. The president-elect, no fan of Freeland's after she represented Canada during his first administration's renegotiation of the NAFTA free trade deal, took to social media to celebrate her departure.
All of us in this House.
Trudeau has so far responded to the tariff threats by trying to placate Trump with a visit to Mar-a-Lago. Canadian provincial premiers, meanwhile, have taken a harder line, even threatening to cut off electricity supplies sent to northern U.S. states.
Only people that get hurt on these tariffs is Canadians and Americans. And do you know who wins? China wins.
Trudeau has seen his approval ratings plummet amid a cost of living crisis. Freeland had been sharply critical of the Prime Minister's plans for government stimulus checks and tax breaks on essential goods, measures she called costly political gimmicks as Canada faces a €40 billion deficit this year.
And Yukan's going to wind up with a look at the markets.
Well, European bourses opened in the red as investors turn their attention to upcoming action by some central banks on interest rates. Paris's CAC 40 down by about half a percentage point after France's central bank downgraded its growth forecast for France for next year. And Germany's DAX opened also in the red after a vote of no confidence against Chancellor Olaf Scholz. And that's it for business.
Thank you very much, Yuka.